I will listen to those Vikings. I'm not, you know what? I thought she said despite the win, too.
Right.
No, that was good. I was watching the end of it.
She went to Arizona and brought the average age down to like 78, right. Something like that.
Looked like she had fun down there. I saw some of the like one pick. You know, you didn't blast a lot of picks up.
No. Well, yeah, I just put a group photo up.
You're not big into that.
No.
That's good. Don't.
We're 99.9% of other people.
Yeah, we know the fun that we had. I just need to post a group photo to prove I was there.
Joel, could you imagine, and I know there was a football game yesterday, but could you imagine if you had Instagram, Facebook, Twitter when you were Abby's age?
You know,
what would have? I'm curious.
I don't think I would have liked it. I mean, you see them now, and they all just love it, and it's used, and in so many ways, it can be used in a good way. And I just, man,
I've always said, what happens with the dead gopher in your parka going into a hockey arena stays with the dead gopher.
Yes.
Nobody needs to see you hoisting badgers into a hockey arena and. Not that you've thrown those onto the ice at various times in your...
Well, everybody had to make a living somehow, right? Everybody needed to get paid in one way or another.
It was a game. Yeah, I forgot that you had... because when you're a season ticket holder, you have the option.
Right.
There's a wanting for those tickets. So if the wanting is higher, then you're... Having been there thousands of times to see other games, I agree with you, Joel. That's you probably played that off rather nicely.
And I might add, I had a number of absolutely fun people over to my place, and we had a blast.
Right. So you were in a win-win situation.
36 deviled eggs, which means let's see, that's take that times 2.
Yeah, so 72 then
72
total.
Deviled eggs.
Yeah, because you cut the deviled egg in half.
Right. Let's just say, you get a lot of calls after a party. People, hey, that was fun. Thanks. Nobody's wife called me and said thanks.
Nope. Probably a lot of sulfur down there in the Hankinson area. While we're on that topic, this was back and forth. And by the way, your boy Kirk Cousins, if you're not on the Cousins bandwagon, or at least in the appreciation mode of Kirk Cousins, I can't help you because this guy is Joel. His last 2 weeks, and really off and on, but he has really put up some numbers.
He is having a great year, and all the anti-Cousins folks, and believe me, I'm sure there'll be a game, hopefully not the last game that he disappoints, but. He's having a very, very good year this year.
A tremendous year. This game, for those of you that didn't listen to it, didn't watch it, weren't there, I mean, it was kind of back and forth. Here's where I kind of thought Minnesota was had their foot on him a little bit.
Justin Jefferson in the backfield to the right of Kirk out of a shotgun on 3rd and goal from the 9. Kirk back to pass, fires to J.J. Touchdown! It is a touchdown from Cousins to Jefferson, and they can't stop J.J.
We are all on the Justin Jefferson bandwagon.
Oh, yeah. There was a TV show out. It's called the
Jeffersons. They moved up to the east side, and with Justin Jefferson, the Vikings just keep moving on up. This guy had a huge game. 8 catches, 169.
Didn't we get him in the Diggs trade? Didn't we? I think
Justin Jefferson, didn't they draft Justin?
Yeah, I know, but I mean because of the draft pick.
Oh, you made a move to claim a little bit higher.
Yeah.
The problem with the fact that Vikings had a 23-10 lead, the other guys have number 12.
Looks, waits, throws, left side, got Devontae wide open, touchdown in the left corner of the end zone.
So they've got a guy named Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, so it's not like the Packers were going to go away anytime soon. And then it became the Rodgers and Cousins show.
Thielen and Jefferson to the right. Kirk facing a big blitz. He's hit. Loops it up to Jefferson. Caught. 5. Touchdown! Way to go, JJ!
Well, we're moving on now.
Come on, Abby.
Come on, Abby.
Come on, Abby.
In the sky. Say it, Abby.
Yeah.
I have not heard it. forget it
But
now.
it requires
We're
movement.
forcing Abby to sing it, and she goes, "I'd never heard of it. I don't know what you."
We didn't want you to sing.
Next
We
time
just
I'll
wanted
do.
you to kind of dance with
So
us.
it was pretty good right there. 31-24. Oh, did I mention, though, that the Packers have number 12?
Rodgers in the shotgun, 1st and 10 from the 25, takes the snap, looks, lofts it, deep over the left side. He's got MBS. He's running down the left sideline. It's Secretariat at the Belmont. No one will catch him. Touchdown, Green Bay.
Oh, my goodness.
Secretary.
I can imagine your joint where it's now 31-all, and you have now throwing those deviled eggs up against the wall.
It was bad. It was bad. And it was the first play. I mean, he gets the ball back, and Smith totally. Did you notice Smith missed his assignment big time?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, come on.
No, happens.
Yeah, I
you
know.
lose a guy in coverage, and then all of a sudden they're tell me about it. Did you catch the Cowboys game yesterday? Anyway, actually, Kansas City's defense was terrific, but that's not.
I did watch that whole
But that's
game,
not why we're here for. Neither the Cowboys or the Chiefs are in our regional listing areas. So let's not talk about the Dallas game. Let's stay with the Vikings and the Packers.
Abby, you know why he doesn't want to talk about the Dallas game, right?
I didn't watch it. I rely on you to learn about it.
That's exactly right. They fell.
He doesn't want to bring it up.
That's right. They were okay.
They might have lost.
Not the didn't have Amari Cooper. CeeDee Lamb got injured. I don't want to talk about what happened to Dallas during the course of the game, but that it was Kansas City's game to win. So it's 31-31, Vikings and the Packers.
By the way, my niece in Kansas City right now is
I'm sure
high-fiving.
she loved it.
She listens.
She's fantastic, and you're a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
And
you're a beautiful woman. Now go away.
So week one against the Bengals, Greg Joseph kicked a 53-yard field goal to send the game into overtime, and it gave Minnesota a shot. The following week at Arizona, not to bring this up, but pulled a 37-yarder wide right with 4 seconds remaining. Then Joseph helped the Vikings notch a walk-off win against Detroit when he executed a 54-yard attempt. He did, however, miss a 47-yard field goal in Carolina with 6 seconds on the clock. The Vikings did go on to prevail in overtime. Why I'm bringing this up, Joel, is that Greg Joseph is one of those things where the kicker who you never notice unless he wins a game or loses a game for you. It's like it's one of those positions in football.
Well, he missed an extra point earlier in the game.
Yes, he did. And for that matter, Mason Crosby, both of these kickers weren't
Yeah, he doinked one. Yeah. Is that the new NFL, though?
Yeah,
I mean, is that the new NFL? Nobody's ever going to get up and go to the bathroom after a touchdown.
No,
They're going to wait until there's...
It's not a chip shot anymore.
Right.
This isn't your daddy's extra points anymore. It's a big one. Right. It came down to a 29-yarder in a tie game, seconds dripping off the clock.
Snap. Spot. Joseph. Yes, he did. He walked off on the Green Bay Packers. The final score, Minnesota 34, Green Bay 31.
So, the post-game locker room, Joel, you get a coach come in. You've seen, like, Bubba do the gritty and all that in the college ranks, and Bison doing their thing in the post-game. Well, it's rare you hear the Vikings locker room talk, but they air what they could air. Here's the Vikings locker room. Zim's heading out to game balls. He's trying to give one to Kirk Cousins. Cousins being kind of humble.
Come on, number 8. Come on. Damn it, let's go. There you go, baby. Here's the deal. We're back to 500 now, okay? Let's go. Now, all that work that we've done, we have to continue to move forward, okay? So we can't feel good about what we've done today, tomorrow. Today you can feel good, all right? 1, 2, 3.
There you go.
Well, we're moving on now.
There you go, Evan. Come on.
500.
If Gwen was here, she'd dance with us. Come on.
She would.
In the sky.
Abby, we'll get her to dance to something.
How many times are we going to listen to it?
Well, I was trying
at
to
least a couple more.
Put it into your head.
How about
there.
one more, Bones?
You want to move on up again?
One
Abby,
more.
do you have
Come
it
on.
yet? The Jeffersons?
Well, we're moving on now. We're moving on up to the side.
To a deluxe apartment
Deluxe apartment
in the sky.
in the sky.
Come on, we're 500.
Moving on up
Playoffs.
to the side.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Finally got a piece of
The second verse is really good right here because they don't have to worry about.
Fish don't fry in the kitchen. Beans don't burn on the grill.
Come on, Abby.
Surprise.
Took a whole lot of trying.
Just to get up that hill, Al.
Just to get up that hill.
Here we go.
Now we're up to big
You
league.
know the song well.
In the big leagues, getting our turn at bat.
Come on.
As long as we live, it's you and me, baby. There ain't nothing wrong with moving on up to the side.
Are we playing this? Are we playing this when a little too much, Joel?
I don't know. I'm just gonna, like he said, enjoy it today. You know what? I'm gonna enjoy it today.
You're gonna enjoy it today.
I'm gonna enjoy it.
Zim said to enjoy it today, meaning yesterday, and not so much tomorrow, which is today. You are enjoying it yesterday, which was today then, and you're enjoying it today, which was tomorrow yesterday, but you're still enjoying it today.
I'm just gonna enjoy it today,
Right.
Bones. I just want to enjoy it today.
Did you get all that?
Yeah. I know.
Tom Hoagie, golf. How about Tom Hoagie? Tied for fourth, Joel. And that's a nice little start. You know, kind of working to keep that PGA Tour card. He pocketed $288,000 down there in that little tournament in Georgia. FCS playoffs are announced. The Bison got a number 2 seed, Joel, which means they'll be home throughout. And they will take on the winner of Southern Illinois and South Dakota. Just a couple things to pass across.
Come on in here. Let's get in here and
Busy
move on
weekend.
up with us.
We're
Ready?
going to move on up.
There we go.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ab?
We can move on up.
We'll be back with more on News and Views right after this. How come everybody likes you better on TV than they like Jack and I? Why is that, Jack?
Well, and Jack now gets to be on it, too.
Let's see. Attractive, youthful, friendly.
Friendly? I was okay with all of that until you got to friendly.
Couple of old codgers here.
We're friendly.
We're friendly.
We're
We are
friendly. I mean, we dance.
I am on. I guess Carl put up a Watergate camera into the old newsroom there, right?
That's what they call it, yeah.
If we're going to put up this many cameras, at least they should be out doing a little game cam work, right? Now, deer season's over. I realize that, but, you know.
I want to thank, by the way, this morning, and I should have called Joel right away, but I've got drain gnats, drain flies, drain, and not just one or two, almost biblical proportions of locust
biblical proportions.
Like, I move one bone, I'm like, it's like Silence of the Lambs in there. And I don't know how to get rid of them. So, because you kill one or two, and they're small.
They just eat off each other.
Well, and then they reproduce as you're killing one. They're reproducing another 10. It's impossible. So if you see the text clip today with all these apple cinnamon vinegar things and suggestions. So I've got to go. In or what? I've got to go find some apple cider vinegar. Does this make sense to you?
Actually, it does.
Yeah.
And soap, and put it in some sort of
liquid form,
and put a sheath over it, and kind of prick holes
and let it drip,
and then let them fly into there and then be trapped.
Yep.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Can you go shopping for me?
Yeah.
I will give you the money. You find my ingredients. It's like Ghostbusters.
I don't know that you need the soap with it.
I think you do. I think it's part. That's what the texters say.
Okay.
I'm like Peter Venkman in Ghostbusters. I'm going to really go out and try to
I know the vinegar will get them.
Peter Venkman.
I'm going to cross the streams. Joel, you've helped me. We got to kill these gnats.
We'll get them.
They're pesky.
Is there any bounty involved here? Is it just let's get them?
I'd pay you a penny per gnat.
Oh, penny per gnat. That's money.
Well, you should see a biblical proportions.
That's
Like 500 in there. That's like $5 I'll give you.
Like locusts.
They are locust-like. Biblical proportions. Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Watched that movie last night.
News and weather brought to you by Rick Electric. Rick Electric is proud to serve the Fargo-Moorhead area since 1964. Day or night, they're here for you. RickElectric.com.
KFGO News, 8:30. It's 21 degrees currently in Fargo-Moorhead. Forecast today from meteorologist Tom Szymanski says high 35, partly sunny. We'll check in with him after KFGO News. A head-on crash killed the driver of a pickup earlier this morning on a road west of Highway 59 near Thief River Falls. State Patrol says a subcompact car crossed the center line and collided head-on with the pickup. The two Red Lake Falls people in the car were taken to the Sanford Hospital in Thief River Falls with non-life critical injuries. The crash happened near Seven Clans Casino. Target CEO Brian Cornell has announced that Target stores will be closed on all future Thanksgivings. He says what started as a temporary measure driven by the pandemic is now the company's new standard. Last year, Target was closed on Thanksgiving due to the pandemic, and they will continue to keep their stores closed. This gives Target employees the opportunity to spend Thanksgiving with their family and friends. Target is the first major retailer to announce that it's putting an end to Thanksgiving Day store shopping and will move to encourage other peers to do so. Currently 21 degrees in Fargo-Moorhead. You're listening to KFGO News.
Overdose deaths that we had seen in 2019.
Sagna says both are readily available and are offered free by the department. She says providing treatment in rural areas remains a challenge. However, the department is working on expanding treatment in those areas. Minnesota lawmakers are beginning the every 10 years process of redrawing legislative and congressional districts. That's based on population shifts in the 2020 census. Hamline University analyst David Schultz is predicting, as happens nearly every decade since the 1960s, the two parties won't be able to agree because they want each to draw the line to their own advantage.
I suspect what you wind up getting is a Democratic plan, you get a Republican plan. It either never goes to conference committee, or if it does, it never goes anywhere whatsoever.
Schultz says the chance of the legislature sending a redistricting bill to the governor are very remote. A team of northern Minnesota researchers is evaluating the results of millions of dollars of major restoration work on dozens of trout streams across the state in the last decade. In addition to finding out whether the trout have returned, the state needs to know if realigning creeks has upset their natural connection with groundwater or if it has unintentionally made some problems worse. Erosion is the root problem forcing major restorations. More streams will be realigned in the coming years as they continue to wash away land near homes, roads, bridges, and businesses. The KFGO Weather Center forecast is powered by Acme Tools. Visit Acme to find the Toro snowblower that is right for you and bring on winter. Do your best work. Let's head into the weather cave. A little bit of a nicer day stretch here. Tom?
Geneseo song. Oh, that's Genesis.
Rusty Halverson, Jack Michaels, Dogs and Cats.
The award-winning.
The award-winning.
Rusty Halverson.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we're going to Coffee with KFGO tomorrow.
I'm a map question foreman right now.
Yep, we're in the hole-in-one bar and grill in Foreman. Now, I know what's going on in your mind, Bones.
Yeah.
You know, I set these up, so I know understand that is a cafe as well.
So it's a cafe.
Yep. Here we go.
They have all three meals.
They do.
Really?
All three.
Yeah.
So I won't eat
actually,
much
throwing
tonight.
darts, you can get pizza too, I'm sure.
So I won't eat much tonight. Well, I'll be gnat hunting.
Yeah.
I'll be.
Do you camouflage for that?
I don't know. I wanted to blowtorch them just like a little, just to. But
are we talking about the kitchen drain, the bathroom drain?
Kitchen drain, bathroom. I got out of the shower this morning. 13 were hanging around. So I've ruined a towel because I encapsulated all those 13 and I tied that towel up and put it on the floor and I started just stamping it out. This is my way of getting rid of gnats. And then 3 minutes later, they start fluttering up out of the towel.
Yeah.
Gnats are hard to kill.
Terrible.
Yep.
They're hard to kill. Really hard.
Drain flies.
Yeah. Yeah, not good. But what the heck?
Foreman tomorrow.
Foreman. We're going to Coffee with KFGO.
Could I get 2 eggs over
Ford.
medium? Vision
sure,
Ford, 2 eggs over hash browns.
And all the rolls, all the coffee are on us.
Toast.
And Vision Ford.
Juice, coffee, water to chase.
I would just add this.
Of ranch dressing.
If you order hash browns, you're paying for them yourself. That's all I'm saying.
Always do.
No, I'm not talking about you. The guests out there.
Oh. Oh,
Coffee,
no, wait.
donut.
Yeah, that's a lie. That's a lie. I don't. Joel pays for it. I'm sorry.
I was going to
that
say.
was a flat-out fib.
I've paid for your hash browns.
Like for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So, yeah, I mean, for all of you folks in the Foreman area, if you're anywhere near, stop on by the hole-in-one there at Foreman tomorrow, and you'll see all the different KFGO personalities, and you'll see everybody. You can shake hands, have fun in this What's the name of the guy that gives us the road reports again?
Oh, Paul Blubarski.
Paul, yeah. I haven't seen him. Well, for a month. I haven't heard from him.
He's been gone, and it's Thanksgiving week.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Will he be there?
I don't know.
That's one of his favorite
he
holidays.
busy at
It's one of his
holidays?
favorite holidays.
Okay.
You're the only one that's got his cell, Abby.
I know.
Text him.
I will.
Text him
you
and
gotta find
see.
out.
He's a pretty inconsistent texter. He's
Yeah.
all over the place.
Yeah. He's like my daughters. I'll get back in about a day.
So, what do you think the chances are today of the Minnesota Vikings making the playoffs?
I would say 59%.
Ooh, I was going to go 50-50, straight out 50-50.
Okay. I would go a little bit more.
Okay.
I mean, they've just finished a little patch of a 4-pack that's been pretty tough, and they've wound up getting a couple of wins, and Kirk Cousins is playing well, and it seems like they're a little bit more aggressive. He is stretching a little bit.
Yep,
Justin
there
Jefferson,
is no question about
even
that.
JJ used out of the backfield on a quick little route, a dump off route that he got in the end zone. I'm liking the way that Mr. Young Kubiak is and Kirk Cousins have been able to call some of these games. So I like that. I think they go out to San Francisco.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it, and I'm not a big believer in this in the NFL, anybody can beat anybody. But if you look at strength of schedule this time of year, you can see who's having a good year, who's not having a good year. The Vikings do not have the strongest, toughest schedule to finish out. Now, the Packers, it changes a little bit for. Here's the thing. Tom Szymanski brought this up this morning as he shook my hand and said congratulations and didn't pout or anything. You know, he's always that way. I like that about him. But here's what he said. Why do the Packers have to wait so long for their bye week?
That's what I talked about on Thursday's Pick'em show.
Yeah.
That's why I thought the Vikings would actually roll a little bit more in this game, and they were kind of on their way to doing that. Then you forget that Devontae Adams is really good, and Aaron Rodgers still.
And the Packers lose another offensive lineman.
Right. They've got
it's a huge loss.
They've got to be a little tired. I don't care who you are. You go this long until your bye week.
All you Packer fans out there know that this Viking fan gets that. It's not exactly it doesn't seem all that fair. That one doesn't. Right. Now, that's more than made up for by, the referees giving every call the Packers. But
speaking of that,
I was lying.
And by the way, I'm already getting Kansas City texts in here, so thank you, Joel. I get a lot of Chiefs fans who come out of the woodworks now. Sean, I hear you. Thanks for the text.
See if my niece texts me yet from Kansas City.
Patrick Mahomes, great guy. We landed in Kansas City for the convention.
Oh, sure.
Who was there throwing bags? Patrick Mahomes. I swear. Handing out. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Well, he had a mask on, looked like his hair, so I just
it
assumed.
might not have been the actual. Because his wife owns where the Red Hawks play against the Kansas City, the Monarchs there. His wife, they use a lot of soccer. She owns part of the complex there for soccer, so Patrick Mahomes' wife. So not uncommon to see her in a suite at times.
Okay.
That's what you do when you have a lot of money. You buy teams.
And things. You own things.
Buy things and teams.
Yeah.
Alex Rodriguez, you buy the Timberwolves. That's what you do when you have a lot of money.
So if you look at the NFL right now, who do you think is out there that's just, you'd have to say they're dominating? That's the team.
That's the $1 million question, because you may have said that early with teams like Tampa Bay. You may have said that, but not so much anymore. They're 6-3. Dallas with their potent offense
Packers.
And all that. You would have probably picked Dallas, all that. But now you wouldn't say it anymore. And right now, Kansas City may have climbed back into that conversation at 7-4 in the way they're playing. I still think they have some things to work on offensively, but Tyreek Hill and Mahomes getting it, they're still not fluid. But their defense yesterday against Dallas was tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you'd go over there. I don't know. New England is 7-4, and all of a sudden they're playing a good brand of football. I don't know. This is why the NFL right now, Joel. This is why when Rusty, you went 50, I went 59 on Minnesota. Vikings.
How did the Panthers do yesterday?
Panthers, they actually lost, even though Cam ran for one again and threw for one, but they lost, I want to say late. I was monitoring that in between Nat killing and sleeping. They lost to Washington 27-21.
See, with Cam back, the Panthers were starting to look like one of those more upper echelon because they have a good defense.
And Christian McCaffrey, prior to that injury, they would have been a team that certainly would have been there. And, teams like, Philadelphia Eagles all of a sudden have caught a little bit of a traction, with Jalen Hurts.
Say it ain't so, Joe.
Yeah, I know.
Say it ain't so.
And Seattle, the poor Seahawks fans out there, they're just going in the wrong direction.
Yep.
So,
I mean, for me, if you look at it, the Vikings finally stretched out the field. I mean, we've been screaming for it. We've been hollering for it. We've been begging for it.
And we've seen it the
Stretch
last
out the
couple of
field.
weeks with them.
You know, I always say there's a couple good things that could happen and one bad thing that can happen, right? If you throw the bomb. You know, sure, it could be incomplete. That isn't bad. You could get picked off. You could get a pass interference, which that happened yesterday. You could get a touchdown, which that happened yesterday.
Right.
So, yeah, throw the ball.
When you have Justin Jefferson, who can, just him running a route with his ability can get away from a lot of D-backs, corners. If you're man on man zones, you can find a way to find a pocket to sit down and say, would you just have that period? Then you add in the ability to catch a football. And his catch radius and his ability to length out, good hands, good run. Then you add the speed ratio in this to catch, shred, and get away from a defender. Yeah, I too would be looking for JJ out there. And then just when you're going to load up on Justin Jefferson, you forget you've got another Pro Bowl receiver in Adam Thielen. That now you've got to pick your poison if you're a defensive second. How are you going to play it? You're going to go zone and just let these guys find pockets to go into? You're going to go man and try to man up? So the Vikings have weapons. Then what about Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison? You can still run the ball a little bit. And then Tyler Conklin every now and then can leak out.
He's going to do another thing.
Right? Tyler Conklin can then leak out and catch a ball and maybe move that. Then Kirk Cousins is just playing a high level of football, as we talked about before. So if I'm a Viking fan, I'm not going to sell you over the edge hope here. But, I mean, you have every reason to think that your Vikings have a chance to get in the postseason.
There was something
make some noise.
There was something going on yesterday, though, in the first half. Aaron Rodgers was a step off.
His toe.
Yeah. Was it his toe?
He's got not turf toe, but what does he have? He was battling a toe.
Oh, okay. Well, he was
he's battling a little bit
a yard off with every pass. He was, I mean, he had guys open, and he was missing them yesterday. And it was like, okay. And I kept telling everybody, wait till the second half when he gets his groove, when he finds his mojo, and it happened.
I think Rodgers in the second half just said something, I guess my toe was a little worse than I thought it was.
Well,
so
I mean, he was off. There's no question about that. Stick around. We have more in-depth analogy. Then we'll get to it right after this.
Where are we going to Foreman?
Foreman.
Foreman.
You know what I was thinking of with this Black Friday deal?
Yeah, what are you thinking?
I was thinking outdoor rec. You know, we're sitting in Detroit Lakes, by the way.
Yep.
The studio now is sponsored by Black Fish Days sale at Detroit Lakes Outdoor Rec. You can go to outdoorrec.com.
You know, if we went to Detroit Lakes
Black Fish Days.
and we got a little Wagon Queen family truckster or a big old RV from Outlet Rec.
Yeah.
Or some type of fish. You, me, Rusty,
Yep.
Abby, Don.
Sue and I are working on that.
Getting a what?
First off, I do have an RV in the parking lot.
You kinda
I
do.
got from Outlet Rec, right? But Sue and I are working on might be an adjustment in the fish house life.
No.
Right. It isn't done yet. And quite frankly, we won't have it this fishing season because they're that backed up. But there's a discussion going on. And quite frankly, it was initiated, wait for it, Rusty, by her.
Oh,
Sue.
Yeah. She's
Aces.
like, yeah, I think she's grown quite passionate about me being out of the house. I think that's what this is about.
Looking for things where she could put
it's
you,
like,
put you away.
If he's in the fish house, he's not in our house.
I don't know. Your ability to make deviled eggs, though, that alone is enough to keep you indoors.
We had liver sausage yesterday. We had tiger meat. We had Braunschweiger. We had, what else, Rusty? You popped by.
Oh, boy.
There was some interesting things.
I had the tiger meat and the egg.
Jambalaya. We had
Boy,
my chili, which I made and I cooked all night long.
Can we go back to the liver
Did you
sausage?
Haven't you ever eaten liver sausage?
No.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Did you feel your bile duct needed another challenge?
I think your dad brought some head cheese.
Perry Miller texted me yesterday. He was shopping this. He texted me. I was like, you know what he found?
What?
Spam Light.
Light?
There's no such thing as spam.
I love that he texted you that.
Did he? He did. Out of the blue. Just because Perry will text me out of the blue.
Like that's what he.
This is what he texted me. And I went, wow, really?
He thinks of you when he sees that.
Yeah,
We almost got to try it now.
Yeah, he said he's bringing it to your next event. I'll take it to Joel's next party.
What's
I'd
Spam
be
Light?
interested to see the nutrition label on
On
this
that?
regular spam
Oh.
and the spam light to see.
It's only
How it-
half the fat.
More spam,
Which means
honey?
it's
How does it
It's
differ?
half fat.
I don't know
The
if I can
container's
go-
only half
I
full.
don't know if I can go full spam. Do we have any Spam Light? We do. Oh.
What
Diet spam?
What did you guys
Spam.
do with your spam cans when you were young?
I think we just chucked them.
Really? God, they seemed like they were so worth things, you know?
Yeah,
So
you
we
could-
took them outside and we just BB gunned the heck out of them.
yeah,
Just
good.
pop, pop,
Every
pop, pop,
story
pop.
Joel has about things like that is, what'd you do with your 8-track cartridges? I don't know. We just took them out back and shot them. What'd you do with your spam? We just took them out back and shot them.
What'd you do with the neighbor kid? Yeah, we just took them out.
Well, I wouldn't go that
No,
far.
I did not go that
Why do you
far.
go? Why does his
happened to
brain
your-
go to that weird part?
He shot back.
What happened to old Yeller?
yeah.
Oh no!
Now about gnats, I'd have no problem with
Yeah,
that.
I mean, think about this.
Yeah,
You know,
can you try to shoot all of Jack's gnats?
well, he was
right.
talking about badgers and gophers and dogs and cats living together, and oh my, you know, why is a gnat any different? A gnat is a living thing.
Not the ones I have. They don't deserve. They serve no purpose on this earth.
Well, certainly they do. I mean, who's gonna
carry
that
disease
apple
from one
cider?
place to another? Who's gonna carry some disease from one place?
That sounds like a Candyman song.
India.
Who's gonna carry
Actually, I
Who's
was
gonna
thinking
carry
of this,
disease?
guys. One of the critters out there that feeds the world critter or the critter world out there is rabbits, right?
Yep.
Because they reproduce and they reproduce quite rapidly. What I didn't know, and I was going to ask Doug Lear today, was do rabbits still have babies, bunnies, in the winter? Or, you know, I know they don't hibernate. You see them around. Obviously, they slow down, but are they still having little ones in the winter?
I think. I imagine their Maslow hierarchy of needs doesn't change much. Eat, reproduce. Eat, reproduce.
And they are awake.
Eat, reproduce.
Right.
In the animal kingdom, a lot of it is like fish. They eat and they reproduce.
But I mean,
I imagine rabbits are no different.
if you're a baby bunny and you're getting born in May versus being born in December, I mean, you've got it made in May. December's a little. Could you imagine
Chilly.
waking up and it's like,
Yeah.
This ain't good.
No, not good.
know.
Not good
That's
at
the
all.
noise the bunny makes.
Yeah,
I
don't
know.
like it a bit.
We have this one back here by the satellite dishes that's just been living for 20 years. I've been parking. People are feeding onions. Have you noticed? I fed it a corn dog last week.
You feeding the rabbit onions?
Yeah. Well, I didn't feed it the onion. I fed it half a corn dog.
And did it eat it?
I think so. It's just a stick left in
Have
there.
you named it?
I just call it Harry.
Wait, we have a rabbit?
Yeah. You haven't noticed the guy back here?
I don't park. I go
By the satellite
No,
dishes?
I go through the south door.
Yeah, he's loving it back there because he's getting fed pretty well.
Yeah.
Corn dogs. I'm sure that's what they live off.
Yeah,
of.
I think
Well, if they ate cigarette butts, there'd be 20 of them back there.
that's right. He has an issue. And he's living in the exhaust of Tom Szymanski's vehicle.
Yeah.
Or buy it anyway.
Well, if anybody knows, Tom walks around this building, 20 times a day?
He's got to see Harry the Hare.
Oh, he must know him. We got to check on that later.
Yeah, good stuff. Vikings at San Fran next week. Congratulations, by the way, to Linton. They won the state volleyball. Century won the Class A. Minnesota side gets into championship week this week in the prep football. A lot
West
of hoops
Central.
going on. We got Monday Night Football tonight. Bison number 2 seed in the FCS playoffs. They've got the winner of SIU and USD. Get your tickets. Whew, a lot of sports.
A lot of sports. And tomorrow, all that sports will be coming to you from
Foreman,
the hole-in-one. So stop on by.
What do you call
Thank
the
you to
man or
Vision
woman
Ford.
that's the head of a construction crew?
What?
Foreman. Thank you very much. That was just
I'm
part of
waiting
the
for
trivia
it.
that Foreman.
But
Terrible joke. They'll get better tomorrow.
we're going to be...
Nine o'clock, mostly cloudy, 22 degrees. I'm Don Haney. One person has died. 2 others were hurt in a head-on crash early today near Thief River Falls, northwest Minnesota. The State Patrol says a subcompact crossed over the center line on a road west of Highway 59 and collided head-on with a pickup coming from the opposite direction. The pickup driver died. A man and woman from Red Lake Falls were taken to Sanford in Thief River Falls with non-life-threatening injuries. That crash happened about 12:30 this morning, not far from Seven Clans Casino. The state fire marshal is investigating the cause of a fire at community co-op Cenex in Menomon. That fire broke out Saturday afternoon and spread throughout the roof of the building. There weren't any injuries. Authorities say the structural integrity of the building was compromised in the fire. A number of items of value that were in the building were removed. The public was being asked to stay away from the building. Multiple fire departments responded to the store at the intersection of Highways 59 and 200, including Menomon, Waban, Twin Lakes, Winger, Twin Valley, Ogama, and Detroit Lakes. A man and a child escaped with minor injuries from a fire that destroyed their home in Trail, Minnesota. The Polk County Sheriff's Office says the fire started from a 20-pound propane tank that had been brought into the house to thaw out. Trail is north of Fosston. North Dakota reported 118 overdose deaths in 2020. That's a 49% increase from 2019 when 79 deaths were reported. The director of the Behavioral Health Division of the North Dakota Human Services Department says their division has a number of strategies to try and get that number of overdose deaths down. Pam Sagna said one strategy is to help people get the treatment they need, but she says that's a challenge.
Some of the most effective treatments for opioid use disorder, it's methadone. And in North Dakota, those opioid treatment programs are only located in 3 of our primary cities. And so individuals can drive many, hundreds of miles, in a week or in a day, just accessing that vital medication every day.
Sagna says the department's now working on expanding the treatment availability.
We have some funding out to expand those services into other areas like Grand Forks and in the West, and so we're very optimistic that we'll see better access to those medications and to those treatment programs.
Nationally, overdose deaths topped the 100,000 mark in 2020. Defense attorneys for Brooklyn Center Minnesota police officer Kimberly Potter will try to convince a Hennepin County jury that a mistake should not be a crime. They say her miscalculation when she shot Dante Wright last April should not result in a prison sentence. Potter's trial gets underway at the end of this month. The Kfto Weather Center forecast from meteorologist Tom Szymanski. Partly sunny today. We'll see a high about 35. Clear tonight, dipping down to 25. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny, breezy, and a high right around 50 degrees. Thanksgiving Day, mostly sunny and a high 22. Mostly cloudy now. It's 22 degrees.
Monday. Abby, good to have you back with us. How you been?
I am good. Happy to be back.
Good. That's
and
good.
it's Thanksgiving week.
Thanksgiving week.
Kind of a weird week.
At what age? I mean, you're fresh out of college. You're starting your life. You know, at what age do you make the Thanksgiving dinner?
Oof.
At what age have you brought anything to the Thanksgiving? Yeah, a casserole.
No, I offer, but my mom is pretty particular on the green bean casserole, the potatoes, the turkey. I feel like I could bring like a dessert. Normally, we'll bring like a pie or something.
But will you make it?
I don't make pie. I don't know. I don't even like pie.
I could bring a dessert, maybe a pie.
I would rather bring like brownies or cookies. But I think for actually hosting it, it's not so much dependent on age as more so if you have a house that can fit a family, you know?
Yeah. You have a house that can fit a family.
Well, 2 of our dining chairs are broken.
I don't know, these different places around town, they sell these things called, what are they called again? Oh, folding chairs. They have those, right?
But it doesn't fit the aesthetic.
I can borrow you some. I only have like 30, 40 of them.
We could have it. Except I have like a roommate that would be with her own family.
Mm-hmm.
But our dining room is very small. I think I have a brother also in Fargo, and he has a very open floor plan that like everyone could be together. Whereas if it was at my house, there'd be people like alone in the dining room, and then there'd also be people separate in the living room. Whereas if you had it at Carson's, everyone could be together.
Well, and then you could have it at Carson's, and you could cook.
I could.
Would you? How would you?
I don't know how to make a turkey, but that's something to figure out someday.
Right. Well, you just cook it. You know, you put it in the oven. You wait till
like
the thing pops
8,000 hours. 8 hours, 10. It depends on how big it is, right?
Right.
Yeah. I don't.
No, you could be 30 pounds. You cook it the same amount of time as a pound bird.
You're funny.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
I would be happy to do the mashed potatoes.
What year did you get off the kiddie table?
Am I still at it? It depends if we have my cousins there or not.
Then you're still at the kiddie table?
Yeah, then we're at the island because the dining table's full with the older adults.
So
I'd prefer to be at the island anyway.
So the island is the kiddies table.
Yeah. When we lived out of town, we had a separate table for the kids with like mini chairs too.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, the youngest in our family is 20 years old. So we're all kind of adults. They're just younger adults.
When they closed up, I don't know if it was the Galchute school. It was a school. Maybe it was an old country school. Anyway, Grandpa and Grandma got these little chairs, right? Mm-hmm. And the 3 that were the closest in age that would have been the age of those chairs were my cousin Lynette, my cousin Steve, and I, right? Yep. And so Lynette's my age. Steve's, I think, the grade below us. He was 2 grades below us. But they had little wooden ones. And I had this one that was metal with a wood base and a wood back, right, onto the metal frame. And so they got the wooden ones because it matched, because they were brother and sister, right?
Yep.
So I think those chairs are in chair heaven. I think they at some point they chair became heaven. Bonfire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, still in my bedroom have my little red chair.
Is it?
And that's the chair I sat at so many Thanksgiving meals. You wouldn't believe.
I think between you and me, our holidays look so different because you have the largest family on the planet.
Yep.
And my family's like 10. My immediate family's 7 with my sister-in-laws and no kids. I can count my cousins on maybe 2 hands. 1 hand for sure. Maybe 2 hands.
See, I don't mind having 50 people. I think the most we ever had was like 57 for Christmas.
So how are you supposed to execute that? Does everybody get a chair?
Well, it's in my big garage, and you got these big round tables,
okay.
And just that. I suppose the kiddie table then would be, there is a little kiddie table, one of those ones you can pop the legs out of and get higher. But yeah, I mean, we've fed as many as 50 some in there.
Oof.
Yeah. And here's the thing. All of that is fine in the winter unless you get a blizzard. Because everybody can get along with, 49 other people for, 8 hours or a day. But if you got blizzarded in, we did that once. We were at Heidi's out in Bismarck, or in Mandan, she would say. And we got a blizzard. And, everybody was fine. And then pinochle the next day. And then the third day was like, okay, time to, and we all started looking like that dirty laundry. It's like, all right, somebody get out of here.
That's a lot of people. You would never get any time just to be alone or to watch a TV show.
So if you had to cook a turkey or a ham, which one would you cook?
Which one would I prefer to eat, or which one would I
cook? What I'm trying to do is get you ready for Wednesday. Thursday's when you'll eat it. Wednesday's when you'll get ready to cook it.
I think a ham sounds easier.
It is.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Isn't it smaller?
Well, you can buy as big a ham as you want too. I mean, I was up at Jim Super Value, and Randy and I'd left with a ham, a great big ham that'll be made on Christmas, and he's it's going to be like one of the best hams. I can tell in advance. I'm going to love this ham. Do
you like to eat ham or turkey? Which one do you like more, ham or turkey?
Well, this is where you get me in trouble. I like both. If they're both there.
There's a preference.
Yeah, I'd rather have ham.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I go for turkey.
Would you?
Yeah.
I transitioned from a dark meat person to a white meat person somewhere in my life.
You like the dry meat?
Right. When I was, if you cook it right, it's not dry. But when I was young, it was always, I wanted the thigh or I wanted the drumstick when I ate chicken. And now what I want is the breast. I want the white meat. It's like, I don't know when that happened because I haven't lived the rest of my life in a healthy way.
I have an apple for you. Yeah. I think I still have a preference of dark meat, but will happily eat either.
Yeah. Well, a little bit of mix isn't bad either.
Yeah.
A little bit of both.
Turkey's better than ham, though. But like beef, good prime rib, that's better than everything.
So Susan makes a crowned roast, and here's what the big thing is for Christmas that she makes. See, Thanksgiving, I won't see her.
Because she's busy?
Yeah, her and her sister, gone. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to do the radio show with you, right?
Yep.
Then she will head like Minneapolis, gone. Black Friday. Oh yeah, she's probably already couponing.
I feel like Black Friday has because everybody does now. Like we're gonna do a pre-Black Friday sale on Thursday or Wednesday, and then they're gonna extend it to Cyber Monday.
See, I don't think it's about the shopping as much as those two just want to get away. Yeah. They want to hang out. Those two sisters,
it's a good tradition.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yep, they're happier than heck. And then it's different this year because Heidi and Holly and those guys are all going to be at the lake. So when I get back home, there will be people there.
Yeah.
Where before I used to get back home and sit in my chair and watch football all alone.
That is your dream.
All alone, all by myself. It'll be fun. It'll be fun to see people this year. But if I had to, I could. Here's the big, this is important that you pay attention to this one.
Okay.
Do you put the dressing, the stuffing inside the turkey or outside?
My mother puts it inside the turkey.
I don't think you're supposed to anymore. I think
Why?
they've learned that.
They've changed the rules.
I think so. I think they have.
The turkeys don't like it or what?
I think that the dressing now, this is just going off memory of what I've heard. I think that the dressing doesn't get done the way it should be inside the turkey.
I think she does it she does something to the turkey. Maybe she does it separate. But I remember watching her clean out that turkey, and that is something I don't want to do anytime soon.
Mom would take out all of those giblets, those, the parts, as you would call it, and she'd blend them up.
Oh.
And then she'd put them in the dressing.
No.
I mean, you
probably have to.
My mom's dressing was the best, with all due respect to sisters and everything. My mom's dressing was good. It was really good.
Do you eat I believe it's for Thanksgiving, the turkey neck?
I've never eaten the turkey neck.
That was something my grandma Rose, my mom's mom, and my dad would fight over. My dad would always let my grandma have it, but
it just looked like too much work. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
But with that generation, I mean, don't let anything go to waste, including the turkey neck with like a bite of meat on it.
Well, folks, as you can tell, it's Thanksgiving week here on the News and Views Radio Network. Let's get to the weather cave and find Too Tall Tom. Tom? So much trouble.
Correcting myself.
Go ahead.
I've been texted immediately by my mom and aunt, and they do not put the dressing in the turkey.
We do not put the dressing inside the turkey.
I got it. We're separate.
Somebody else. We stuff our turkey every year. If you do it right, it's perfect. Another one. Black Friday shopping starts about the 4th of July. Joel, Abby, want to give your family a heart attack on the morning, your first hosting of Thanksgiving, Christmas? Text her the morning and ask how long it takes to defrost the turkey in the microwave. That would work.
Or maybe something like, hey, you're making this, right?
Yeah.
When you're not expecting it.
You can cook a turkey, Abby, with Google and YouTube. The words "I don't know how to" should never be used. Another one. Abby's grandma was the head cook at our school in Goodrich.
Oh,
was that true?
Yeah, she was.
All right.
She is a wonderful cook.
This one says A1. All right. Some of this isn't good. Yeah. All right. They're sending you connections on how to cook.
Thank you. I'm not doing the turkey this year. Nobody worry.
237-5948. 1-800-880-5346. studio that we're broadcasting out of is sponsored by Blackfish Days Sale at Detroit Lakes OutletRec.com store in honor of Black Friday. It's Blackfish Days at the Detroit Lakes OutletRec.com store this Friday and Saturday. So that all happens. So, yeah. So, good time to go buy a fish house. Huh? You think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or remodel your fish house.
I don't know that they remodel as much as, although they got a lot of gear for that as well. Now, tomorrow, where are we going to be?
Where are you going to be?
You're going to be here.
I'll be here
early.
I'll be here working 2 shows. Yeah, and you will be in Foreman
at the Hole-in-One Bar and Grill for Coffee with Kfgo. Now, I just want to point this out before anybody starts sending me messages. You were there when the phone call occurred, right? Yep. The Bar and Grill is also a cafe.
They are opening a little early for us, but they normally open at 7 a.m. every day.
Yep.
And they're opening at 6:30 for us.
We go live on air at 6:30. Mm-hmm. All the coffee, all the rolls are going to be on us and Vision Ford out of Wahpeton. And yeah.
Their staff must be there just all day. Because they serve breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Right. And
I mean, probably stay open late for a bar.
When we talked last week about coming down to set up and check out, make sure we know where we're, that kind of thing. She was like, well, she was about as cordial and nice as you could be. But she's like, okay, but it's league dart night here. I'm like, well, we can't get in the way with league dart night.
No, because you always do set up the night before, but normally they close at 3 or 4 p.m., right. So it's not an issue.
So it's like, I'll just wait until they're done out in the parking lot, go to bed in the parking lot, go back in, do radio. How's
there
that?
You go.
Yeah. So it's going to be fun. If you're in the Foreman area tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, stop in. Have a roll, have a coffee with us, get a chance to meet some of the people you hear on the radio all the time. The whole family of News and Views radio stations, this is what and who we are. We get out with the people that we get to live with each and every day, who are our friends and our neighbors, and just get a chance to visit. And on this Thanksgiving week, what better week to do that? Really, I think that as Thanksgiving goes, how does it rank in your list of holidays, Abby?
Oh, man, there's so many factors. Okay, so Christmas is number 1 because of the food and the gifts. But second holiday is for sure 4th of July because I love the fireworks and it's the summer. I would say Thanksgiving. I think Thanksgiving could get 3rd place
over Easter.
Yeah, turkey over ham any day.
Okay, so see, for me, it would be Christmas. I'm Christmas nuts. I absolutely love Christmas,
and I like the holiday atmosphere of Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yeah,
I crawled up on the roof today.
I heard that.
What? So I crawl up there to get the Christmas lights up this weekend.
Did Sue take any videos?
She wasn't there. She was down tending goats in Missouri. Her good friend's daughter has a goat farm in Missouri.
Is there any baby goats?
I will send you a video of it. She sent the video.
Are the cutest.
Yep.
I'm obsessed with baby goats.
In fact, I've got to find this. Oh wait, I don't know.
They're always like jumping around and.
Well, it's worth it just because of. I think I can do this in a way where I'm not going to get in trouble on air.
I don't. Maybe we should check.
No. I'm good here, Ab. Hang on. Honest.
Okay. Well, you have a minute.
Yeah. Well, I can pull this off in a minute. So
I haven't been around enough goats. I've been around the goats at the zoo, but have you ever heard of goat yoga?
Goat yoga.
Yeah, you do yoga while baby goats are just hopping around like on you or around you. That is a dream.
Okay, so
I don't really like yoga.
This was Sue and her friends at the goat farm, right? And they're picking up and kind of hugging these baby goats. Now listen. Wait.
You have to click.
I know. That's
what
it sounded
those
like.
are the goats.
So Sue and her friends, they sent that video to us. Now listen. So when they're done, my daughter Ashley and her kids sent a video to their grandma.
You can't even tell the difference.
You really
between
can't.
the goats and the kids.
And here's the worst part. I didn't play them in that order. I played Ashley's first. I'm like, what what is up with this? Then I scroll up and there's Sue's and I hit that. Oh, now I get it.
Now it makes sense.
Let's talk a little Kyle Rittenhouse. Let's talk a little Build Back Better plan right after this.
I'm Madison Quinn. A head-on crash killed the driver of a pickup early this morning on the road west of Highway 59 near Thief River Falls. State Patrol says a subcompact car crossed the center line and collided head-on with a pickup. The two Red Lake Falls people in the car were taken to Sanford Hospital in Thief River Falls with non-critical injuries. The crash happened near Seven Clans Casino. Overdose deaths in the U.S. are climbing. Those deaths topped 100,000 last year. North Dakota is also reporting something similar. Pam Segnis is the Director of Behavioral Health Division with the North Dakota Department of Human Services.
Drug-related overdoses claimed 118 lives in North Dakota in the last year in 2020, which is a 49% increase from the 79 overdose deaths that we had seen in 2019.
Segnis says one of the first things to focus on is preventing death at the point of overdose.
For example, making sure that individuals have access to naloxone or Narcan and know how to administer that. And that is a medication that's basically an antidote for an overdose.
Segnis says both are readily available and are offered free by the department. She says providing treatment in rural areas remains a challenge. However, the department is working on expanded treatment in those areas. Target CEO Brian Cornell has announced that Target stores will be closed on all future Thanksgivings. He says what started as a temporary measure driven by the pandemic is now the company's new standard. Last year, Target was closed on Thanksgiving due to the pandemic, and they will now continue to keep their stores closed. This gives Target employees the opportunity to spend Thanksgiving with their family and friends. Target is the first major retailer to announce that it's putting an end to Thanksgiving Day store shopping, and the move could encourage other peers to do so. A team of northern Minnesota researchers is evaluating the results of millions of dollars of major restoration work on dozens of trout streams across the state in the last decade. In addition to finding out whether the trout have returned, the state needs to know if realigning creeks has upset their natural connection with groundwater or if it has unintentionally made some problems worse. Erosion is the root problem for forcing major restorations. More streams will be realigned in the coming years as they continue to wash away land near homes, roads, bridges, and businesses. KFGO Weather Center forecast today, high of 35, partly sunny. Tonight, overnight low of 25, and tomorrow, mostly sunny and breezy, high of 50. I'm Madison Quinn, News Radio, KFGO.
237-5948, 1-800-880-5346. A lot of things happening. The United States Congress passed the Build Back Better plan. It's on its way to the Senate, where I will add this. It's going to pass, folks. Some version of it is going to pass. It's there. The question is, what's in there? Now, here's some of the problem that I think we as Americans have to keep our eye on, right? I appreciate the fact that Joe Manchin and others are sitting there saying, well, let's keep an eye on the checkbook. That needs to happen. It absolutely needs to happen. I appreciate the fact that, what do they call themselves, the squad or something like that, the ultra liberals in the House, that they lost on a lot of these issues. They should have. I mean, they should have. Is it too much money yet? I don't know. The one thing I do know is the Congressional Budget Office, which scores this, which they're sitting there and they're like, all right, are they telling the truth, right? It's a bipartisan commission. They sit there and they go, okay, here's what the bar tab's going to be at the end of the night. This is how much food you're going to eat. This is how much drinks are going to cost. This is how much the ride there and back's going to, those type of things. They're honest about these things. Now, but here's everything in this bill is being based upon, price-wise, is being based upon these programs only living for so long. And I think that's a little disingenuous. I do. I think that that's not being truthful. I think that one of the things that's happening there is you've got a situation where once you give certain child tax credits, once you give certain programs, shall we call it, out there, it's awful tough to get rid of them. And so I like the fact that there's going to be a rigorous debate before it gets passed. That being said, I would push to get it passed. I would. Prescription meds are wacko. When we look at what we're doing with early childhood education in this country compared to other countries and how we're going to have to compete on a global scale, you bet. Like it. Dig it. I think it's good. I think it's a conversation we should have. When it comes to everybody saying, well, the government shouldn't be your nanny, for those of us in the rural area, getting involved in government-related daycare, that's not a bad thing. I mean, you can be as conservative as you want in these small towns. You can. Go ahead. But ask yourself this. If you had good, affordable housing and you had daycare, would you have more people in your town? Would the businesses that have given up even trying to hire people in your town, would they then put out a help wanted sign again? I think they would. I really do. I think that once again, you'd find yourself in a position where those individuals are saying, look, I've got tools now called people, workers, the type of people that can get the job done. I don't think that's a bad thing either. So what I think really needs to be focused on is making sure it doesn't cost too much. And you want to talk about certain groups of individuals that are the most nervous about this bill. It is the upper echelon, the people that by the end of today, they will have made how many million more dollars, right? The billionaires that are sitting there right now going, there we go, tax the rich. You pay a lower percentage tax than what everybody else does. You have ways to get around paying tax that other people don't have. I mean, if you're sitting there saying that you're going to increase tax, you're not. What they're going to do with a lot of people is find out if you're cheating. I mean, do you remember when people used to fear the IRS auditing you, right? It's like they don't have to worry about that anymore. And that's what makes them the most afraid. That's what they're the most afraid of, is they're afraid of the fact that somebody's going to get in their books and find out whether or not just because you own Amazon, you're telling the truth. Find out whether or not you're deducting a rocket, right? Find out whether or not that third yacht needed to be a business expense or not. That's what they're the most afraid of. And so to be able to garnish revenue off that, that's not a bad thing as long as they were supposed to pay it in the first place. And here's the other thing that's happened. The one thing that that Republicans have been better at than Democrats for years is once they get in power, they find a way to make sure that the very wealthiest among us get tax breaks. They do. They find a way to make sure that those tax breaks go, and because they know how hard it is to ever put that back in place. The same way that Democrats know that once you're going to start Social Security or Medicare, Medicaid, you're not going to put that genie back in the bottle. So I get it. I understand it. What I don't want people to believe that there's some changing of Joel Heitkamp here is the fact that I still believe you can make this Build Back Better plan work. And I like the fact that in the Senate, they're going to work this over to beat heck. I love it. I love the fact that what they're going to do most of all is they're going to sit down there and look at each one of them, each program in here, and break it down. You know, and that's the way it's supposed to work. That's the way government is supposed to work, ladies and gentlemen. It's supposed to be done in a check and balance and look and ponder and not rush through, and it's policy. It isn't pretty. It isn't pretty at all, and sometimes things get said that shouldn't get said, and sometimes people are mad that really shouldn't be mad, or sometimes people don't understand something, and then you got to bring them up to speed on it. That's how you develop policy. And it's a good thing, because this is severe policy. I mean, this is serious stuff. And so this isn't government at the 100 level that's taking place right now. Now, for all those folks who said that you couldn't have one bill without the other, they already proved you could, right? They already proved you could pass an infrastructure bill. And this is where Kelly Armstrong and I, Congressman Armstrong and I have completely disagreed. His attitude was that, look, you know, I know this is part of a bigger scheme, and, you know, this isn't going to happen unless, you know, I'm not going to vote for the infrastructure bill because it's all one bill. It wasn't all one bill. You could vote for the infrastructure bill and then not vote for the Build Back Better plan. They weren't connected. And so I think Kevin Cramer got it. John Hoeven got it. They both voted for the infrastructure bill. You know, we ended up seeing roads, bridges, all that infrastructure coming our way because of it, broadband. I mean, how big of a factor in your life is broadband now? How do you just expect it? Do you expect the high speed? Do you expect to be able to go in? Well, here's the thing. Try doing business in places where you don't have it. Because what you are is you're at a major competitive disadvantage. Major. And so, you know, it's got to happen. There's got to be an investment. So I don't know why people are so anti all this. If you just take a step back and realize this is generational legislation. Text message comes in and says, what's wrong with improving our country and the lives of our citizens? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Look at the write-offs and tax deductions farmers do. Ice castles, brand new personal vehicles. It goes on. Well, you know, that's another part too, right? I mean, if you're cheating on your taxes, you should live in fear, right? And if you're cheating on your taxes, at some point, you're probably going to get caught. I mean, that's why I hire a tax man. I hire him because he's as honest as the day is long. And that's the best bill I pay all year, is to make sure that it's done right. And quite frankly, everybody's like, yeah, if you hire a good one. Well, I've got a good one, and I hope you have one too. But the other part to me to keep in mind is if you're cheating, you sure should be nervous about it. I mean, you should. Everybody else is paying their fair share. You get that W-2, you put it on your deal. I mean, that's what the vast majority of citizens do is they don't have any chance to cheat on their taxes. They don't. 237-5948, 1-800-880-5346. Of course, you can always text us at 35270, and you'll get through that way too. Let's get Jim on. Jim, You're on News and Views.
Yeah, Joel, I'd love to see us go to a flat tax. That way, every penny everybody's making, I don't care if you are making minimum or if you're making millions or billions or whatever year, every dollar is being taxed. You can't hide anything. You can't write off rockets. You can't write off equipment. You can't write off anything. You're going to pay. That is the only way you're going to pay your share across the board.
Jim, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people agree with you. My question of you is this: how do you determine what they made?
Well, that is something that's going to take. I don't know. With what I do for a living, I don't know. But what I do know is, and I know some people say, no, you need to have a sales or a tax on everything you buy, and then they say, well, except for this, except for that. But the problem with that is the guy that makes $500,000 a year is only going to probably pay tax on $100,000 a year because that's what he spends. The other $400,000 is not touched. All of it needs to be taxed. And I don't know how you differentiate what they're actually making, Joel, but there's got to be a way. So Lord knows we're gonna have enough IRS to finger everybody's accounts, which is BS too, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's happening, Jim. There's no question about that. So appreciate the call. I remember, I think Steve Forbes was the one that pushed that hard in a presidential campaign, and he created a great conversation, just like Jim did. You know, it's worth talking about. It's just, how do you determine what the person made, right? I mean, that's right now you can tell what people make, or at least I think you can, but then they have to show you why they didn't make that much. Well, okay, with a flat tax, is that going to be the case as well? Let's head into the weather cave and visit with Mr. Too Tall Tom. What do you got, Tom? Head to the ranch, get a chance to visit with that farm and ranch director, the award-winning Sarah Heinrich. Sarah, what's going on in our markets?
Seeing some nice green on that board. December corn's up a nickel and a half at 5.76. March at 5.82, up a nickel and 3/4. December wheat climbs 18 1/4 at 10.28. March at 10.33, up 18 3/4. January soybeans up 13 1/4 at 12.76. March at 12.88, up 13 1/4. We are also green in the livestock markets, with January feeder cattle 38 cents higher at 161.30. December live cattle 78 cents higher at 134.30. And for December lean hogs, we're at $74.55, up 80 cents. With your markets, I'm Farm and Ranch Director Sarah Heinrich from the Enterprise Sales Ag Studio for the News and Views Radio Network.
Thank you, Sarah. When we after the top of the hour, everyone, Lori Levinson's going to join us. She's a professor of law at Loyola Law School. She serves as an attorney representative to the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit and the U.S. District Court for the Central District of California as well. And Lori is, well, you see her on national news all the time, out there being asked to give opinions and to basically let people know, you know, what the sheer legal side of the argument is. Obviously, Kyle Rittenhouse is what we're going to talk about. When you dug into the Rittenhouse trial, when you started looking at it, it isn't hard to see. And one of the questions I'm going to have for Lori is whether or not this was overcharged, whether or not this was something that, in fact, what should have been charged at the severe crime that it was charged, right? Whether or not this was murder, whether or not this was, or whether or not because it was self-defense, in his words, whether or not it could have been tried out or pleaded out to a lesser charge. I don't know. I want to know from Lori about that. The more I dug into it, and the more I saw, and this is probably, well, it is a reversal on my part in that it isn't hard to see some of what the jury was seeing. Now, why a 17-year-old is running the streets, with an AR, all in the name of, hey, can you defend my property? That's beyond me. I have no idea what parent or what brother or what sister or what friend or whatever would let him do that. And you could make an argument, I would think, that, he went there looking to stem off trouble and he found trouble. Now, was he guilty of murder? There's no way that I would have convicted him of murder. But I do want you to think of this, folks. Reverse those roles with many of our fellow Americans out there and ask you what the result would have been then. I love the fact that Joe Biden said, we've got to trust the jury system. I love it. There are times that I don't think they get it right. OJ being the first one to pop into my head. But take a listen to this, if you would. That's Kyle Rittenhouse, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with this young man's life now. I hope the kind of the wacko far rightness, they let him have his life now. I hope that they don't make him out to be some poster child.
Kfgo News, it's 10 a.m., currently 24 degrees in Fargo-Moorhead. Today it'll become partly sunny and then a high of 35. Right now mostly cloudy. I'm Madison Quinn from the Kfto News Center. A man and a child escaped with minor injuries from a fire that destroyed their home in Trail, Minnesota. Polk County Sheriff's Office says the fire started by a 220-pound propane tank that was brought into the house to thaw out. Trail is north of Foston. State Fire Marshal is investigating another cause of fire at a community co-op, Cenex, in Menomon. Fire broke out Saturday afternoon and spread throughout the roof of the building. There were no injuries reported. Authorities said the structural integrity of the building is compromised. All items of value have been removed from the building and the public is asked to stay away. Multiple fire departments responded to the store at the intersection of Highways 59 and 200, including Menomon, Waban, Twin Lakes, Twin Valley, Ogama, and Detroit Lakes. Overdose deaths in the U.S. are climbing. Those deaths topped 100,000 last year. Pam Sagnis is the director of the Behavioral Health Division with the North Dakota Department of Human Services.
Drug-related overdoses claimed 118 lives in North Dakota in the last year in 2020, which is a 49% increase from the 79 overdose deaths that we had seen in 2019.
She says one of the first things to focus on is preventing death at the point of overdose.
For example, making sure that individuals have access to naloxone or Narcan and know how to administer that. And that is a medication that's basically an antidote for an overdose.
Sagnis says both are readily available and are offered free by the department. She says providing treatment in rural areas remains a challenge. However, the department is working on expanding treatment into those areas. Defense attorneys for former Brooklyn Center police officer Kim Potter will try to convince a Hennepin County jury that a mistake is not a crime. They say her miscalculation when she shot Dante Wright last April shouldn't result in a prison sentence. Potter's trial begins at the end of the month. Attorney General Keith Ellison is charging her with first-degree manslaughter, meaning she is accused of recklessly causing Wright's death. Governor Tim Walz returned this weekend from a week-long overseas trip. Walz and a delegation of business leaders, educators, and state government officials visited the UK and Finland to promote Minnesota as a destination for business investment and opportunity. The Walz administration called the trip productive. KFGO Weather Center forecast from Chief Meteorologist Tom Szymanski. Today, becoming partly sunny. We'll see a high of 35. Tonight, overnight low of 25, mostly clear. Tomorrow, a high of 50. A beautiful day, mostly sunny, but breezy. I'm Madison Quinn, KFGO News.
Lori Levinson is a professor of law at Loyola Law School, and she's also served as attorney representative to the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit and the United States District Court for the Central District of California. Now, here's the thing about Lori, and I really appreciate her giving us part of her day and part of her time, how the public interacts, I should say, with that law. And I wanted to get a chance to visit with her about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial that just concluded, and he was found guilty on all charges. Lori, thank you. Good to have you back on News and Views.
Oh, Joel, thank you. I always enjoy being with you.
So what happened here? First question I would have is, did they overcharge Kyle?
Well, they might very well have overcharged Charles because it's clear that the jury identified him as sort of a young, immature man or boy. And with somebody like that, I think it's really hard for the jury to say, put him in prison the rest of his life. He just didn't look like that type of defendant. Now, there's a lot more to that. But knowing that in itself, knowing that it was a chaotic situation, knowing that he may or may not have been entitled to have that weapon, they certainly set a high bar for themselves by how they charged the case.
So when you make the type of argument that he made, that it was strictly self-defense, and you look at everything that transpired in what his actions were, was that a hard case to make?
Hard case for the prosecution or for the defense?
For the defense, I mean.
Yeah, no, it turned out not to be so hard for the defense. And the reason it wasn't so hard is that he could point to things on the video to show that he was being attacked or being pursued, and that even though he probably shouldn't have gone there in the first place, at the time he actually used his weapon, he had reason to believe that his physical safety was at harm. And don't forget that the one surviving victim who did testify against him said, yes, I was pointing a gun at him. At that point, it sounds a lot like what we use self-defense for.
Okay. So there was a lot of talk about the prosecution and the job that they did and the interaction that they had with the judge in this case. Was the prosecution good at what they did?
The prosecution did not do itself any favor by antagonizing the judge. Because in my experience, even though many of these discussions take place outside the presence of the jury can actually sense where the judge is headed on a case, and the judge spent a lot of that trial angry at the prosecutor, and much of that was self-inflicted wounds. It was not appropriate for the prosecutor to try to refer to that the defendant asserted his right not to speak. The judge had made some pretrial rulings, and the prosecutor was trying to skirt around them. So on some of the examination, I thought the prosecutor was fine. But on the overall presentation of the case, it was clear that the prosecution was not in good favor of the judge. And I think it was also a sense that the judge was wondering whether they had overcharged this.
The judge seems to have, in many people's mind, really played favorites, for lack of a better way of putting it. There was a lot of talk out there that the judge really was on the defense's side. What do you do in a case if that, for example, is true?
Well, it's hard because judges should not be on either side. And to that extent, I think this judge went further than most judges I would know. Many of his rulings did seem very much in support of the defense. But if you're the prosecutor, you just step back, you say, this is what the rulings are, and you be as professional as you can. You do not make it look personal because you don't want to look like you against the defendant and you against the judge.
When do you make a determination as a defense attorney that you're going to put your client on the stand? And how prepared do you get him, Lori? When there are a lot of people that said it's fake tears, it's all an act. There are other people who said that was the part of the trial that people watched the most, where it really showed his innocence. I mean, how do you deal with that as an attorney?
Well, I think the defense dealt with it exactly the right way. We know now that they have what we call shadow juries, and they had Kyle Rittenhouse audition in front of other jurors, people who didn't actually sit on the case, but played the role of juries in mock pre-trial proceedings to see how he came across, how people would react to him. This is the type of thing that's done in big profile cases, an OJ type case, and now we know it was done here. It takes a lot of money. Most defendants can't do that. There's no guarantee, but they literally had him try out.
And you said it takes a lot of money, and that's coming forward too. I guess not coming forward, people knew, but there's talk about over $3 million was donated to Rittenhouse's defense. And so there's a lot of talk about, the type of attorneys you're able to afford with that. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I think that the money went to good use. I would say that. I think it's absolutely true that we do not have an even playing field in our criminal justice system. The more money you have, the more resources and ability you have to defend yourself. Now, the question is whether we shouldn't give more people resources so they can defend themselves. But he had top-of-the-line defense. He had top-of-the-line juror consultants. He had top-of-the-line pretrial prep. Young man, went into that courtroom with about as much defense power as I've seen in a case lately.
So I'm going to go back to the charging. Do you believe, after following the case, that he could have been convicted of anything in this case?
Well, looking back, it's always a guess. I don't know. But I do think that if the prosecution charges the highest charge, the murder, it begins to look like overreaching. And I think they thought the strategy in that was that they had some lesser included charges of reckless use or reckless homicide. But the jurors then just focused on that one instruction, self-defense, because that's really the instruction that goes to the full murder charge. And by doing that, that gave the defense the best strike at an acquittal.
Now, as someone who teaches law and has been around a lot of young law students, what's the lesson here? I mean, for example, did people learn a lot about, a trial jury because there was cameras allowed in the room, because there was the ability to watch this on a daily basis? I mean, what's the lesson here, Lori?
Well, my students have been talking about this, frankly, every day, and they were quite concerned by the verdict as well. And one thing that we've been talking about is just how courtrooms are different across the country because the culture of the community is different across the country. In Los Angeles, where you don't have people parading around with rifles and other weapons, I think this case would have come out very differently. But where this was tried, where it's okay to have weapons in the streets, and that's how people react to each other, clearly they saw it differently. So the real key lesson for my students was know where you are. Know what the community there sees as permissible and impermissible, who they see as the good guy and the bad guy.
That's an absolutely great point. Know who potentially is on that jury because they live right next to them. I'm getting messages in saying they charged the wrong person. The individuals that drop him off with an AR, saying go protect. I mean, those are the individuals that are actually at fault here. For me, I've been around guns all my life, Lori, and I got to tell you, dropping a 17-year-old off at a protest, even if it's to defend a piece of property with an AR, I can't imagine anything more foolish.
Well, no, I agree with that. In fact, I want to be really clear for all the listeners. You cannot defend property by taking life. That's not the law anywhere. So it's only because this sort of escalated into physical encounters with other people. But it all started with this idea that a parent would think it's okay for, a 17-year-old. Heck, I've had teenagers. What could go wrong? I say that sarcastically. Yeah. In the middle of a milieu with a weapon. Because when you have a weapon, I think people don't, at least if they're not particularly mature, think of alternatives. That's the alternative that they go to first, and that's when you get the deadly encounter.
One of the cases that I made during this trial is to have my listeners talk about, the what-if scenarios. What if this was a young black man, for example, that did this? How would Wisconsin have reacted to it? And if you can hang in there, Lori, Abby says you can. I've got that question for you when I come back, okay?
Will do.
Lori Levinson, ladies and gentlemen, professor of law at Loyola Law School. Let's get to the Weather Cave and find Too Tall Tom. Tom? with her. You see her all over national news. I saw her the other day because, quite frankly, she's good at what she what she does. I should say she's a professor of law at Loyola Law School. Lori, before the break, I raised the question, and I did during the trial. I raised the question of the what-if scenario. What if this was a young black man carrying an AR in Wisconsin? How would he have been treated? And I'm curious what your take on that is.
Well, first of all, Joel, you always raise the most insightful questions, and your listeners as well, so thank you. I think that race matters, and I think that our preconceived notions of who looks like the criminal, who looks responsible, do matter. And so I don't think anybody can plausibly say that everything would be exactly the same. And that's also just a commentary on what people saw as who was out on the street and who was causing trouble and who was there to protect. We process very quickly, based upon our prior life experience, who we think fits into certain molds.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to the fact that when you dug into the facts, I don't know how you could convict him of murder. I mean, I that one didn't surprise me. But when you're sitting there and you've appointed yourself riot police, I mean, that's hard to do for police, to contain a riot, to contain a huge protest like that. And so, you know, the whole taking your step, you know, and saying, I now am security, self-appointed with an AR. I mean, it shouldn't matter what state you're in, Lori.
Right. I mean, it shouldn't. I mean, we really have to think very carefully about this whole notion of vigilantism, because we've seen it get out of control before. And I know people are frustrated. They were frustrated by protests and the like, but we are allowed to protest in this country. Even if you take property, it's not the death sentence that you should be facing. So I think that what this reflected is that people feel like they have to take the law in their own hands because they don't like what's happening on the streets. But the net result is you're going to have everything ranging from tragic accidents to homicides.
From an attorney standpoint, when does your work stop? I mean, I've heard his defense attorneys talking about leave him alone because there's all types of people that are trying to take advantage of his position now. Representative Getz wanting to make him an intern in his office. Donald Trump Jr. Singing his praises, talking about what he could do with him. You know, and I saw the defense attorney come out and call these people out. I mean, at what point is your job done and you say, here's the keys, I hope you have a good life?
You know, that depends on the individual lawyer, but I do think it's appropriate for his lawyer to provide some type of wall against everybody who's going to want to have him represent their side, because this could label and define him, and some people think it should, for the rest of his life. You know, whatever you say about this, it wasn't good. It may not have been murder, as you say. It may not have, in the juror's eyes, been a crime. But nobody can say it's good that at age 17 I've already killed 2 people. That's be something he needs to process in life and sort of say, how will I deal with that, knowing that many people in the world think that I'm still responsible for this.
I kept thinking about, you know, the rest of his life with the emotions that he showed, both on the stand and when the verdict was read. And I don't think you can fake those things. Not the way he did it, Lori. I just don't.
Well, that's so interesting because, again, that's something I think differed across the board. In my own class, many of the students that are closer to his age thought he was faking it.
Really?
But then when I talk to adults, they say, no, we've seen kids cry like that. So I don't know. I wasn't in the courtroom. I think that was the call for the jury to make. And then even if he is truly sad, the huge question was, what was he sad about? Was he sad about what he was forced to do, or was he feeling sorry for himself? And that's a question that people still have as well.
Is it wise, in most cases, to put your client on the stand if you're the defense attorney?
It depends on your client. And, you know, a lot of times, if you haven't fully prepped your client, if you don't know how the shadow juries are going to see him, then it's not particularly wise, especially if you can make your case in cross-examining the prosecution's witnesses. But we know now, and hindsight is everything, it was probably the most important move that the defense made in this case.
There's a lot here that could be used in a classroom. I have no doubt.
And it will be, and it will be.
I bet. Lori, I enjoy these talks. Thank you so much for giving us time.
Thank you. Take care. Happy Thanksgiving.
Lori Levinson, ladies and gentlemen. What are your thoughts on it? What did you take away from what Lori just said? I'm really curious. Give me a call, 1-800-880-5346. You'll get through, and we'll get a chance to get your take on it. To me, there's lessons in this trial for me as well. I mean, I was mad when I saw him that he had shot people. And maybe it was more homework on my part. Maybe it was settling down. But the jury, the verdict didn't surprise me.
Consultation.
Fargo-Moorhead, mostly cloudy and 25 degrees. I'm Paul Juergens. Becoming partly sunny, Kfgo meteorologist Tom Szymanski is expecting a high this afternoon of about 35. One person was killed and 2 others were injured in a head-on crash early this morning near Thief River Falls, Minnesota. The State Patrol says a subcompact crossed over the center line of a road west of Highway 59 and collided head-on with a pickup coming from the opposite direction. Pickup driver died. A man and a woman from Red Lake Falls were taken to Sanford Hospital in Thief River Falls with non-life-threatening injuries. That crash happened about 12:30 this morning, not far from Seven Clans Casino. A home in Polk County in northwestern Minnesota was destroyed by fire after a 20-pound propane tank was brought inside to thaw. The sheriff's office says it happened just after noon yesterday in Trail, that is north of Foston. Minor injuries were reported to a man and a child inside the home when that fire started. The house was a complete loss. North Dakota reported 118 overdose deaths last year. That is a 49% increase from 2019 when 79 deaths were reported. The director of the Behavioral Health Division of the State Human Services Department says her division has a number of strategies to try and get that number of overdose deaths down. Pam Sagnis says one strategy is to help people get the treatment they need, but she says that is a challenge.
Some of the most effective treatments for opioid use disorder, it's methadone. And in North Dakota, those opioid treatment programs are only located in 3 of our primary cities. And so individuals can drive many, hundreds of miles, in a week or in a day, just accessing that vital medication every day.
Sagnis says the department is working on expanding treatment availability. Nationally, overdose deaths topped the 100,000 mark last year. Defense attorneys for former Brooklyn Center Minnesota police officer Kim Potter will try to convince a Hennepin County jury that a mistake is not a crime. They say her miscalculation when she shot Dante Wright last April should not result in a prison sentence. Potter's trial begins at the end of the month. Attorney General Keith Ellison has charged her with first-degree manslaughter, meaning she is accused of recklessly causing Wright's death. Prosecutors say Potter must be held accountable, mistake or not. KFGO Weather Center forecast. Meteorologist Tom Szymanski is expecting partly sunny conditions yet today, with our high approaching 35, then a clear night, and 25 for the low, then steady or slowly rising temperatures. For tomorrow, mostly sunny. We look for a high in Fargo-Moorhead of about 50 degrees. Wednesday, cloudy, windy, scattered flurries, high about 30, likely in the morning, and then steady or falling temperatures. Thursday, Thanksgiving, mostly sunny, and a high 22. Fargo-Moorhead, 1033. It is mostly cloudy and 25. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
To the News and Views Radio Network. We are coming to you tomorrow from Foreman. It's one of our Coffee with KFGOs, so love getting out there. If you're in the Foreman area, stop by the Hole-in-One right on the golf course there where the cafe is, and we'll get a chance to visit. Let's get to the phone lines, and let's get to Kim. Kim, you're on News and Views.
Yeah, Joel, you're quick to throw out the race card all the time on this stuff. And I'm curious because you never mentioned race one time during all these lootings and rioting that was going on last summer. You never pulled that out at any time that I ever listened to you.
That's not true, Kim.
I'm curious why.
Well, let me
because this is a white guy on. Go ahead.
Let me make my argument, and then I'll let you hit back, okay?
Sure.
Okay, so this summer, or whenever the riot happened in downtown Fargo, right, there was a protest. It was a Black Lives Matter protest, and there was, I'm going to use some round numbers, Kim, but I think there was 4,000 or so people that were involved. Then those 4,000 people marched from a park here to West Fargo, all peaceful. Then some of that spilled over into downtown Fargo. Right? Buildings were looted and riots happened and the police had to get called in. And race came up as part of that conversation here on News and Views then, Kim. It did.
Yeah. How about the major destruction in like Minneapolis and Seattle and all these other big cities too? And these were not only buildings just burnt, but they were seized.
Are you saying that blacks were the only one that did that, Kim?
Not the only one. If you want to look at percentages, look at the percentage that were involved with those. You're right. There was plenty of white people involved as well.
Right.
But it was a small percentage. I watched when they showed, Joel, people looting in the stores in a Target and taking cartfuls of things out, not just necessities, big screen TVs, all kinds of clothes. Yeah. And that was okay. That was just accepted.
But who said that was okay? No, I didn't say that was okay, Kim. I never said that.
Our politicians obviously did because they wouldn't let the police arrest people for doing such lewd behavior.
There's a lot of people that got arrested because, quite frankly, they should have been, and that happened afterwards, because of the cameras that you had. And anyone who did that should have been arrested. I'm with you, Kim, on that, and I always have been. What I didn't do, and I won't do, is I won't compare a riot in a town where people should all be thrown in jail for looting, for whatever damage they have. They should be thrown in jail. I won't compare that to what happened on January 6th, and that's what I get criticized the most for.
Oh, my God, Joel.
No.
Where was the fires worse? I agree. That was stupid what happened there. That was no way an insurrection. I tell you progressives and the liberals have blown that so far out of whack. You're right.
Well,
it was terrible what happened. It had nothing comparable to burning down federal buildings, police stations, and all this stuff.
An insurrection is an attempt to overthrow the government. That's what it was, Kim.
That's not what went on there, Joel, for crying out loud.
What did they go to the Capitol for? What did they go there for?
Well, I'll say And then again, I didn't agree with what they did. They went there to raise hell, is what they did. They didn't burn anything. They didn't destroy anything, Joel.
They didn't destroy anything, Kim?
No.
Okay.
What did they destroy? Maybe there was a couple of windows that got busted, and it's questionable on who all broke windows. There was
There's no question, Kim, on who broke windows. They got poles ramming into the windows. They're breaking through. They're using flagpoles. They're pounding a police officer with a flagpole. I mean, come on, Kim. If we're going to be, you don't believe they did that?
Joel, evidently we've got different views on what happened there.
All right, good to talk to you, Kim.
I know any progressive or any liberal is making it sound like the world was coming to an end that day.
But you just got done telling me they didn't. There's questions on who broke the windows, and that they didn't do. I mean, come on, Kim. That there's video of that too. So thanks for calling in. Let's get to Craig. Craig, you're on News and Views.
Hey, Joel. About the Rittenhouse trial. I did watch nearly all of that, and my opinion was he was certainly self-defense, given the facts for only self-defense. Okay, but the attorney had on. They were talking about when Rittenhouse took the stand and he broke down. Man, did he get just crushed by the media, especially on the left, the CNBCs. I've never seen such an acting job. Crocodile tears. I mean, it's so ridiculous. But now let's see how Rittenhouse reacted when the verdict was read, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not guilty on all charges. When that fifth count was not guilty, he went down to his knees. Did he fake that? I'm going to ask, did he fake that too? Because his reaction, his facial expression was identical to the one on the stand.
Craig,
and I'd like to hear just the media one time come back and say, boy, we got that one wrong. It never happened.
Craig, I just said to Lori, I said what I saw was real. He wasn't faking. And I'm on the left and I'm in media.
I have no dispute. I have no dispute with you, Joel. None at all. I just have what me trying to keep an open mind watching this thing and the biases I feel from the media.
I got to ask you this: did it surprise you at all that she said that the group of people that believed it was crocodile tears the most were people his age that were students versus the people that, in my opinion, obviously believed it? The jury, myself, you, others. My point being this: she said there were two perceptions of that younger people thought he was faking and older people didn't. And when she said that, I was like, because I don't get a chance to visit with a lot of 20-year-olds on a daily basis, I was kind of surprised she said that, Craig.
No, I mean, and Joel, I do understand that because, I mean, honestly, if you just look at it for what it is, right, you might say, he's faking it. But if you listen to all the testimony, and when he broke down on the stand was right during a time when he was describing having to kill a human being. And you don't think, that's torturing him, in my opinion. And he cannot control the shock of it all. And then it's reinforced by his reaction to the verdict as well. It was the same tears. It was the same look. And
I think the people that are at the worst fault here, obviously, the individuals that pointed a gun at him. This all cuts both ways. I get that, Craig. But whoever put an AR into a 17-year-old's hand and let them go to a riot I just couldn't imagine being that person. I mean, I agree with you that, Joel. Absolutely, that's true. But let's take a look at a lot of that footage from the streets during the riots and the looting. Mm-hmm.
There were many individuals walking those streets with AK-47.
I know.
They were talking about how many people went before this whole thing even started and purchased handguns, right? They were just armed to the teeth. Many of those folks walking those.
So how do you fix that, Craig? I mean, how do you fix that?
I know, Joel. I mean, it works both ways. In other words, the harder the left pushes toward gun control, the harder the right pushes back by they're afraid they're going to lose their right man. I'm going to go get my gun now, and good luck getting it back from me. I mean, this is the attitude, right? It's just gotten push and pull so hard that it in a way it's made matters worse. So, Joel, I don't know what the answer.
You just nailed it. You nailed the problem. I'm a gun owner. I love my right to own my guns. I love to hunt. As you know, I would be more than willing to sit down and have a conversation about a level of common sense when it comes to gun laws. I would. But the people that own guns like me are trained to be nope. Over my dead body. You see it on the back windows of all the pickups, right? Out of my cold hand, you know. And then you've got the other side who doesn't even understand guns. They don't understand.
So that is so true. And I admit, looking a couple years back, my attitude on it, I'm a gun owner. I hunt. But I always thought, we've got to come together on this gun issue. There's no way the government's going to take the guns from us. There's no way that's going to happen. That was my attitude. But now, as the years have passed, I personally maybe a little bit threatened by it. I mean, it's like, will they? And so what happens is people go out and purchase their guns. Here's one other thing, Joel. With this perception of defunding the police, right, around the country, it gets misrepresented probably, but when you have people seeing the high crime rate now around the country is higher than it's ever been, by God, they're saying to themselves, hey, if they're not going to let the cops do it, I'm going to carry. This is another
one of the big things is going to be the next big verdict. Right. The one that comes out with the three individuals that, again, in my personal opinion, it became law enforcement in their own mind. And, that trial is going to be the next big play. Now, last one for you, Craig. Should cameras be in those courtrooms?
I think there's going to be, it's kind of very interesting to have them in there, Joel. I do enjoy it. But there's got to be some hard, fast rules about what they can and can't show. That would be my opinion.
Thank you, Craig. Great conversation. I would add that my beliefs in the beginning of the Rittenhouse trial versus now are different because there was cameras in that courtroom. So I understand what Craig was getting at there, too. Let's get to the Weather Cave and visit with Too Tall Tom. Tom? Coming to you from the studio. The KFGO studio is sponsored by Blackfish Days sale at Detroit Lakes Outlet Rec.com store in honor of Black Friday. It's Blackfish Days at the Detroit Lakes Outlet Rec.com store this Friday and Saturday. So let's get back to the phone line as soon as I click the right doggone button here and get to Marlon. Marlon, you're on News and Views.
Yes, good morning. Yeah, I don't quite understand this. You take a second guessing the justice system. There was 12 people that made that decision, and you're promoting that they were wrong by talking about it.
By talking about it, period, Marlon?
Right. By talking about what the verdict was. And you're promoting this mistrust is what it is.
Actually, Marlon, I would disagree. What I did was I asked the whole devil's advocate questions of the attorney, the professor, right? And she answered them, I think, right in line with what I think a professor would. I think that the trial is being talked about all over the country side now, and it has been for a couple days. So I don't know that I'm doing anything wrong there, Marlon.
Well, I would say you are, because if you're talking about it, if people talk about it having a beer or over a cup of coffee, this is something else. But you're talking on the airwaves.
Okay,
you're talking of maybe 200 or 300 people.
Well, I'm talking to more than that. But thank you, Marlon. Appreciate it. Let's get to Rick. Rick, you're on News and Views.
I'm number 301.
Okay. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it, man.
You bet. To me, this whole thing never should have happened. The governor is incompetent in that whole thing. That shooting happened on the third night of the rioting there, and it was not a peaceful protest. It was rioting. They were burning buildings down. They were looting, and so on. And the people that were so-called peaceful protesting were carrying weapons and, using skateboards and flashlights and also carrying firearms. And anyways, but this happened on the third night. And people seem to forget that and why the governor didn't call in the National Guard before that. They had the National Guard in presence of the jury of the trial outcome. And so why the governor wasn't called out on this whole incident to begin with is beyond me.
Yeah. Well, that's an awful tough one to argue against. I don't know anybody that would. I mean, to me, it's the same argument I make about Rittenhouse, which is, okay, you're saying the governor should have called in the National Guard. How in the heck can you not agree with that? But you and I both know that being a riot police officer has got to be one of the hardest jobs of being a police officer, period. That's hard work. How do you do it? The training really has to kick in on something like that. So then when you take someone who has self-appointed themselves as security, then you've got exactly what you just described. You've got people armed that are protesting, being a mob. I mean, this was a keg of dynamite, and you knew something was going to blow.
Well, but the problem is if the government's not doing its job, then what do you think's going to happen? The citizens are going to take arms, and they are going to protect their property.
Well,
that's bound to happen.
I'm probably not going to do it with a 17-year-old with an AR, Rick. I'm just not.
No, but even the riot in Fargo, even the first night, you had some people that came down there to volunteer to help.
Yeah. Well,
and the very first night, if that would have continued on to the third day, I would imagine that you would have had a lot of people that would have volunteered to help.
And I would imagine that the police officers would have been the first ones telling you, don't come. Would you agree with that, Rick?
Probably.
Yeah. Thanks for your call. Appreciate it. Rebecca, can you get her done in 30 seconds? Go ahead.
My question is, why did his mom drop him off? A 17-year-old with a gun.
With an AR. Rebecca, you just said something that I think is in everybody's mind, no matter what side of this trial you're debating. And I don't think, going back to, I think it was Marlon that called in, that thinks it's wrong for us to have a conversation about this. I don't think it's wrong. I mean, I don't. I think these are, call them learning moments, call them whatever you want. But I think that this is an opportunity I think the president said it well when he said, look, the jury trial system is the best system, and I stand by what the jury said. He might be disappointed, but he stands by what the jury said. Good riding with you, folks.